Sonic's Shoes Blues. This starts by wasting the audience's time pointlessly explaining that the world used to have no pollution until Eggman took over the world in this alternate universe. Surprisingly, it says that people aren't happy with life under his rule since he makes them work in his robot factories, but I thought the only people working in his factories were robots who couldn't have a problem with them. If this book isn't going to use that concept, that's going to be an interesting new take on Sad AM. And also make Eggman look too stupid to even put people in bipedal robots so they could be trusted. It wastes time telling me about Sonic and his friends when I'm gonna be introduced to it anyways in a few pages. After I waste my time, surprisingly Sonic says he wouldn't take Sally along to harass Eggman because it's too dangerous for a girl. He'd never say that. To be fair, there was no inarguable proof he wouldn't say that in the games yet. We just assume he wouldn't because he's a hero and the protagonist. It's so uncharacteristically nice of Sally to ignore his comment. The writer must not have known that she was going to be portrayed in full detail. Doesn't mean she's nice though. She tells him long-windedly that he needs his shoes on first, which he had forgotten to put on in his hurry. It takes up a bunch of time with them failing to find them. It's such a mundane idea for a story that it instantly gets me impatient with it, so I'm only interested because it hasn't been done before in the series. Sonic's shoes had been stolen in issue 3 of SCC, but we didn't see him look for them in his house. Same goes for that AOSCH episode, and this was released in 1993. I like that it gives him more character by establishing that he's got comic books in his room. Superhero comics, like an obvious ripoff of the X-Men. It's great that Tails respects Sonic too much to scold him about his messy room because he's considerate enough to not want to annoy him. It's much more a character than having Tails be sassy with Sonic. It was smart of Tails as well to eat the half-eaten cookies he found when Sonic wasn't looking. The chocolate chips don't even look like chocolate. It also pointlessly establishes that Sonic drinks soda and has a strange acorn collection. It at least tries to be funny by saying he's got a partridge in a pear tree. Maybe it's not forced because he likes nature. Tails smartly tells Antoine to help them find Sonic's shoes, which would only be helpful if he searched in a place they wouldn't be looking at. Then I have to see Antoine be rude to Sonic. And Sonic doesn't feel like snarking back at him. For no reason he assumes his shoes were stolen, and calls a meeting to tell his friends that his shoes are missing, and uncharacteristically accuses one of them of hiding it even though they know he doesn't think he can fight Eggman without them. Logically, the only one he'd accuse would be Antoine since he already hates him. Sally says she thinks he's ran into one too many brick walls, even though she should know he could be right. And why would someone with super speed lack the reaction speed to avoid running into the walls? I have to assume the reason he ever survived that was rings. Sally smartly makes it clear that she didn't steal them. But I hate that she did it by making everyone laugh at him for the smell of his socks. Sonic turns off the lights and says that whoever took his shoes can return them without being seen. But anyone spiteful enough to take them wouldn't return them that fast. But there was still a chance it might work. I felt sorry for Sonic when he saw a piece of paper saying that if he doesn't trust people who don't respect him and insult him and laugh at him regularly, then they'll fight Eggman without him, even though Bunny isn't in this book to protect them. They're unlikable in this so far. But he brought it on himself by not just accusing Antoine, somehow. Even Tails went with them, but they need his protection as the one who could fly away with one of them holding him. Luckily, Boomer lampshades that it doesn't feel right to do this without Sonic, and that he always knows what to do. Only Sally talks about Sonic rudely, but it does say that even she missed him, which doesn't make up for that bullshit. Would also be bullshit would be if you're fine with Amy being rude to Sonic, but not her. Why can't both be bad? Eventually it's explained they're trying to plug a giant smokestack with a cork. If they really didn't think this was a good idea, they would just go back. Tails is naively optimistic, and because it was walking, he trips over a wire that he would have seen in front of him that springs traps to have him caught in a cage and the other people caught in a net. This makes them look like impossibly stupid idiots for thinking they could do a mission without Sonic. And it's inaccurate to Sad AM where they do their own thing without Sonic right beside them all the time. So I get to see Sally worried because Eggman will be here any moment, though why he specifically would come here when there's no witnesses to them being captured is beyond me. And eventually I hate that Tails acts like it's his fault this happened entirely because he has to learn to think before he acts. Learning the wrong lesson there. Sonic says he should have thought before accusing, as if that's supposed to be satisfying. He bores me by bragging that he's too noble to let them down, so I'm glad Antoine finally asks if he could free them and finish talking later. And it portrays him as a moron for giving them all gifts before they got home, which Sally lampshades. Sonic wouldn't be this dumb when he's supposed to be cool. And somehow, Eggman's here already. And why is Eggman making a pun? Sonic wastes time asking to borrow Antoine's new gift when the robots should be acting against them during that time. He cuts a hole through the net, and I wonder why Eggman wasted time making the Caterpillar able to talk, though it is nice to see one. Why would he even waste time making a robot that won't be nearly as competent as Swap Boss because it's got no limbs and can only bite? Freeing his friend sends a big cork catapulting through the air. Sadly, it doesn't hit Eggman. After some padding where Sonic resorts to fat-shaming Eggman with no reaction instead of using a heroic insult, eventually the cork miraculously lands in the exact chimney they wanted to be in. It's nice to see Tails say bullseye. The smoke fills the building. The narration didn't need to clarify that it's because it had nowhere else to go. And why would the walls start to bulge because of a non-solid thing being in excess? I got to see Eggman whine about this, and somehow be dumb not to think he could get his robots to save his factory when it bulged up that fast. It should just explode before he could do it. Eventually Sonic says they'll wreck another factory later, and resorts to mocking his baldness. Again without it being clear that he wouldn't have said, "I'll get you yet," otherwise. So there doesn't seem to be a point in this. Eggman unrealistically calls him a goody two-shoes as an insult as he leaves. And the next day, Sonic invites the group to his newly cleaned up room, which I'm glad is underground. It makes much more sense that Eggman doesn't find it. Eventually he shoves the lesson of the story down your throats by saying that he's learned that it's a good thing to do housekeeping. Doing that caused him to find his shoes under the sheets. He wasted my time saying super cool and red. And I don't usually say this because it's obvious, but they shouldn't be called sneakers, because it takes longer to read than shoes. Eventually Sally tries to embarrass him for no reason, so at least he gets to snap back by lying that he'd never have a crush on her. Which ideally he wouldn't because she acts like a bully to him. Sonic says he gets that Tails been wondering why everyone got a present but him. I was so bored by taking so long to describe him giving gifts to people who didn't deserve it, I didn't mention that. Eventually it's revealed that Sonic wants to give those shoes to him after all the time he spent looking for them. He flatters him that if anyone can come close to filling his shoes, it'd be him. I like that Tails stutters while thanking him. And after padding, the story ends with Sonic asking them to waste their time coming with them to buy shoes for no apparent reason, considering that he's not holding it against them how they've been treating him. This was released on January 1st, 1993. That's before Sad AM came out. Well, this story didn't leave a good impression. Not if you like Sonic the Hedgehog. This book by John Michalik was about Sonic misplacing his shoes in his bedroom and uncharacteristically saying to his friends that any one of them could have stolen it, instead of just accusing Antoine like he'd actually do, which caused him to grab the idiot ball by going on an adventure without his protection. And impossibly, Tails trips on something that was in front of him, so he would have seen it, which captures them all. Before that, Sally and Antoine were nothing but rude to him, and the others didn't stick up for Sonic anyways. So it was cathartic that they needed Sonic to save them. Sonic losing his shoes in the bed sheets and his friends trying to plug a smokestack are both new premises. But most of his friends did nothing to demonstrate why he should like them if he didn't already know, and just make them all look bad. And that combined with how forced the plot progression was made the story irritating. You'd have to find Sonic as annoying as Sally does to not be frustrated at how she treats him. But the whole reason the series got successful was because people liked Sonic's personality. When I first tried to read a Sad AM novel, I was expecting one of the picture books because I knew they existed, so I was a little disappointed. It's nice to see pictures instead, but seeing the pictures spoils what the narration's gonna say.